This book was such a hot mess. Like, the point of view switches were too much.
I know. And I was way more annoyed with the characters than I was the first time around.
It felt like she needed to vent about some of these characters, and so she was like, let me make a book about it.
That's true.
What's up, book babes? It's time to go back to Valaris.
Today we're diving into A Court of Frost and Starlight, the cozy, slightly chaotic bridge book that had us laughing, crying, and rolling our eyes a little or a lot.
We're ranking the inner circle, talking green, red, beige flags, and figuring out if this novella actually holds up.
And the big question, do you really need to read this one before getting into A Court of Silver Flames, or can you just skip it and still keep up?
Grab your tea, get comfy, and let's head back to the night court.
Woo! I'm so excited. But before we get into it, would love to just put a quick shout out there for anyone who's listening. If you can give us a rating, a review, comment with any sort of feedback that you have, we would greatly appreciate it. All of those things help us tremendously. So thank you in advance.
Okay, Cass, let's get into this recap because this book was truly like watching a reality TV show about the inner circle, and I need to hear what you have to say.
It was. It really was just a 2-hour Bravo special.
100%. So we open in Valaris. It's Christmas time. Well, it's winter solstice, but it's definitely Christmas time. Feyre kind of gets into her new boring life. She's like, Rhys is busy. I'm busy. For some reason, she has endless amounts of paperwork to do. And she's like, this is the life of a high lady.
Yeah, she's a politician now. She's mountains of paperwork and babies to kiss and hands to shake.
But this book switches POVs, so we're going to jump right into Rhys's POV at the Illyrian war camp. And he is there with Cassian and Azriel, and they are working on training the female Illyrians. So they had made a deal with the war camp captain that all the Illyrian women were going to get 2 hours to train every day, and he has not been sticking to it because it's winter solstice time and they need the women to cook and clean.
Ooh, tough for those gals. Let me tell you, I would be running away into the wintry forest if I was them.
But Rhys, realizes he's the High Lord and can make demands. So he's like, no, that's absolutely what they're going to do. So they can help with the winter solstice preparations later, but they will work out with Cassian every 2 hours and learn to fight. In the same scene, we get this weird interaction between Cassian and Rhys about how it's Feyre's 21st birthday on the winter solstice, and Rhys is having weird feelings about how she's turning 21 and he's 400 years old.
I literally wrote this down. I was like, this is the first time that Rhys has acknowledged the age gap between him and Feyre in 4 books.
And he's like,
it's been 4 books, dude.
And he's just now realizing how creepy it is. And he's like, oh my God, she hasn't had any life to live. And she's so young and I'm so old. And I'm like, yeah, this has been creepy from the start.
Yeah, no shit, bro. You literally met her when she was 19, covered in shit in a dungeon under the mountain. And you still went for it. So the time for reflection is gone.
That was in book 1.
That was book 1. We're past that.
So we immediately get whiplash. Rhys is gone. Cassian's now in the air flying to this town called Ramiel. That's where the sacred Bloodright mountain is. And I think we know what the Bloodright is at this point. But as a reminder, it's this bloody competition the Illyrians do. And they have to reach a peak of a mountain together without magic or wings. And he's reminiscing on him and Azriel and Rhys doing this together and reaching the peak of the mountain and how great it was. So he ends up in the town where he grew up and where his mother was last seen. And he is remembering all of the trauma he has from his mother passing away, remembering how awful the Illyrians were to her and to him, and then remembering how he murdered all of them once he was a grown man, and he has no regrets about it. But he's no time to think about that. We got to get ready for solstice.
That's right. Preparations are in order.
I could not handle that this entire book was about the winter solstice. It really, really blew my mind.
You know what? As a Christmas baby, I kind of respected that aspect of it. I did enjoy it. I was like, there are a lot of preparations that go into a celebration, a
And
holiday celebration.
the whole inner circle agrees with you. So then we flash back to Valaris, and Feyre is wandering around the Rainbow District, her favorite area, and she meets a painter named Racina who is encouraging her to come to like her painting studio and get back to painting. She's like, I don't know if I'm ready for like a group class yet. And so Racina shows her this art studio of a fairy Polina who died in the war on the attack in Valaris. And her studio got destroyed. And she was like, you could always take Polina's studio. And she's like, oh, I'm not ready yet. And so she's like, oh, I'm going to go spend a bunch of my money shopping with Moore. So her and Moore go shopping and they're just like choosing Christmas gifts for people and talking about how they have to go to the hewn city as part of their solstice preparations because
Right.
that's also one of their courts and they can't just like leave them out of the celebs. So
That's right.
they're headed to the hewn city. Flash to the hewn city. They meet Care and Eris, and Moore is there and is kind of like forced to compose herself, but at the same time she's remembering her memory of her father and her family when she was dumped in the autumn court, and it was really traumatic. Like she
Yeah.
was beat to a pulp and then they nailed a note to her and basically threw her at the autumn court, was like knowing she was going to die. And Eris and his brothers see her and they're like, she's not our problem anymore. We're not helping her either.
But one of the brothers, like in her memory, was like feeling bad about it and was like, we should help her. Like, we shouldn't leave her here. And Eris was like, no, we're leaving her. And like, you have to imagine it was Lucian, but it was interesting that we don't know who it is yet for sure.
Oh, I forgot Lucian was one of their brothers.
Yeah.
Good point, Cass. But during this visit, also in the hewn city, Eris mentions that like Tamlin is a hot mess in the spring court and he's been neglecting the spring court borders, and it's putting everybody and the humans at risk because like whoever decides to cross the borders is allowed because he has no sentries there. So everybody's like, okay, shit, forgot about Tamlin. Like maybe we should check back in.
So, he needs a lot of mental health checks, some sanity checks.
You guys will find out later. They go back to Valaris and Azriel is there being the perfect little spy. And he's like, Durian and Vassa are now leading the human realm at Grayson's, who is Elaine's former fiance's, like human estate. And they're like, okay, nobody really knows what they're doing. Nobody really knows where the human queens are. But why don't we just brush past this and move on?
Yep.
I was like,
not our problem today.
Yeah, I was like, this novella is literally grazing the tip of every problem.
Correct. She had to keep it to 200 pages, so I got it, I guess.
And then they briefly talk about Bryaxis, and Azriel is like, hey, by the way, Bryaxis is like still out on the loose, and do you want me to try to go find her? And he's like, no, we'll deal with that later.
The theme is later.
The
theme is literally all of us at work from like December 15th through January 7th. It's like later. Literally, don't email me. Don't put a meeting on my calendar. Like, I don't want to hear it. I'm done for the year. Like, that's them right now.
And then there's the next thing is also wild that happens because we meet so many new characters in this random novella. And so we switch to Cassian's POV and he's like out at the Illyrian war camp and there's like a huge storm coming. And so he goes to this shop in town where he meets this woman, Emery, who is a young Illyrian woman who has clipped wings and is running her father's shop who died in the war. They have like a little like get to know you sesh. Nothing huge comes out of it, but she's a badass. That's all you need to know.
She is.
But he buys up all of her like winter gear and she's like, oh, why? And he's like, I want to give it to all of the people in need in the Illyrian camp because this storm is coming. Okay, we're back in Valaris after that. And Feyre chooses to finally go to Polina's rundown studio for herself, and she spends the night painting and ends up creating a self-portrait, of course, because she's the most selfish person on earth, inspired by what she saw of herself in the Ouroboros mirror. And somehow that helps her, like, heal from the trauma. Like, okay. In the meantime, Rhys has decided to go visit the spring court because, remember, we're worried about Tamlin. And so he gets there, and Tamlin's palace is in ruins. It's desolate. Nobody's there. there. There's no sentries, no maids, no gardeners, nothing's happening. He's alone in there. And Rhys goes in and like decides to like push his buttons and taunt him for some reason. While like Tamlin's quite literally not responding. He's literally a sad dog on the ground. And Rhys,
Tamlin's like catatonic, and Rhys is just like kicking him in the ribs. Like it's just so it was tough to read, honestly.
tough character arc for Rhys. I do think,
Yeah.
which I'll mention later, that maybe she was trying to make us purposely feel bad for Tamlin.
True.
Anyways, poor Tam refuses to protect his borders, and Rhys is like, I gotta get out of here. So finally, after all of the preparations, we kind of get like the start of the solstice celebrations. It's not solstice quite yet, but like it's around the days of there. And so the family is all the inner circle, the family is all together at the townhouse, and they are just like having dinner, drinking wine. They're teasing each other.
And then meanwhile, this entire time too, like Elaine is kind of in the mix. Like she's like become like baker cooker extraordinaire. You start to see some of the like budding tension between her and Asriel, like sexual tension between the two of them, where Asriel's like sticking up for her, like standing in to like take plates from her, like making sure that everyone like waits to eat until she sits down, like all of these things where it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it kind of makes it hard to believe that people are fighting that they're not going to be together in acotar 6. Okay, but there is like no Nesta in this whole thing. Like she did not show up, and Feyre's very upset about it. Elaine's upset about it. So Feyre's like,
Elaine's like pissed at her.
yeah, Elaine has emotions this novella.
She shockingly has like something to say in this novella. It's crazy.
But of course, Feyre's the only one that's like, let me go see what she's doing. And I don't think we really know what Nesta's doing at this point. And I was a little bit shocked and awed to see what position she was in. So she has been basically frequenting the most dingy bars in Valaris and like sleeping with whatever men she can find there and like getting drunk off her ass. And so Feyre and Rhys find her there, and she's being like such a bitch to Feyre. She's like, I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't care about you. I don't want a family. And Feyre's like, cool beans, but you're showing up to solstice because if you forgot, I pay your rent. So if you want that check, you better be there. It was wild.
This part was where Feyre was really starting to bug me, because this entire book, she is acting like everyone needs to be in the inner circle, and if you're not in the inner circle, like Feyre's gonna fucking come for you. And it was like very much giving this like cliquey vibe where Nesta is the only one who says it out loud, and she's like, I don't need to be a part of your little group. Like I can live my life and you can leave me the fuck alone, and it's fine. Like we can see each other on the side. We're sisters. I'll come see Elaine, but like I don't need to like come to your little hangouts and like give you presents and like laugh and cheer with you people that I don't even really like. Like it's so bizarre.
Anyways, after she lays it down on Nesta, it flashes to Rhys and Mor having a conversation they've definitely needing to have, and that is the conversation about how Rhys is letting Keir come into Valaris when it's like Mor's special place. So they talk it out, and she's like, I don't want to run and hide. Like this is my time to like stand my ground against my dad. And Rhys is like, that's cool, but also if you want an out, I have this mission for you where you can go to all of the courts and see if they're tempted to go into the human realm. And she's like, okay, I'll think about it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So the next day, more shopping. Okay. Feyre and Elaine are shopping for more gifts. And it's actually a really like touching scene. They meet this widow who lost her husband during the war. And she is like a weaver. It was really confusing. I kept thought they were talking about the weaver, but she is just by trade a weaver.
She just is a weaver.
And she had woven some very beautiful tapestries called The Void and Hope, which were really touching to Feyre because she was basically like, oh, you can come out of trauma and come out of war and still have hope. And I'm like, glad that this actual widow was able to save you, Feyre. Oh,
Feyre is processing a lot of things throughout this book.
And finally, this takes us to Solstice Eve. Finally.
Finally.
The preparations have gotten us here.
So Feyre goes after they meet the Weaver and she like paints out her grief and she's like squatting in this studio, like the studio of this like dead fairy. She's just like literally like huddled up in there in the dark. Like no one knows she's painting in there. And I'm like, Feyre, you are rich. You are literally the high lady. Like you can take over this space if you want.
You can literally purchase it and clean it up if you want.
It's so bizarre. So the next day is Feyre's birthday and it's solstice eve. And so she draws. So she wakes up. Reese has like gifts that he's like peppering in for her. And they're like kind of lukewarm gifts,
They are
honestly.
so
I was like,
lukewarm.
dude, you're supposed to be her mate. You're supposed to be her high lord. And you're giving her like a satchel to carry her paints around. Like, sick.
Yeah.
What Etsy shop did you get that off of? Like, what do you? It was bizarre. So, anyways, one of the gifts that he gets her is like a sketching journal. And she decides to then proceed to spend like hours drawing Reese naked. And I was like, I don't know why I'm reading this at this point. And so they go downstairs and Reese gets taken by Cassian and Azriel for a snowball fight.
I literally almost checked out of this book at this point.
Like, I know this is supposed to be like a sweet, wholesome, funny thing. They're like these big bad warriors and they're like having a snowball fight. And it's like their tradition since they were young. But I was like, I like could really do without this.
Yeah.
So Lucian ends up coming for Solstice and like Em said, he's like, I don't need to be with this band of brothers. I'm just here to like drop off my gifts and leave. And Feyre's like, where do you think you're going? Like, where else do you have to go if it's not here? And he's like, I have other friends, believe it or not. And he's actually been hanging out with Vasa and Jurian. And they call each other like the Band of Exiles, basically.
Yeah.
And Feyre's like, oh, the Band of Exiles, like, haha. And Lucian's like, fuck you, dude. Like, I'm sorry. What is your deal? And so he's like already grieving because Tamlin had sent him all of his stuff from the spring court, like effectively just fully being like, you're out, like I'm done with you. And so Lucian has his own shit and Feyre's just like sitting there tormenting him. Meanwhile, Elaine like can't even look at him. She's like, I need to look the other way. And then Feyre proceeds to get pissed about that too and like goes to Elaine. She's like, you can't even say a word to him. You can't even look at him. And Elaine's like, what? Like, why am I being forced to like interact with this man that I don't know, that I want nothing to do with? I'm still in love with this loser Grayson. Like, I have this Azriel guy on the side who's like way cooler and way hotter. Like, why are we talking about Lucian? I don't understand.
It's giving, you know what Feyre's giving? It's like having to control the narrative and the situation so that she knows it will turn out how she wants it to turn out.
Yes, Feyre's literally acting like Kris Jenner, like in this house. And I'm like, enough with the momager act. Yes. You have your own problems. You have your own shit. Take care of that first before you go like whining around to literally everyone else and like butting into their shit. It was just too much.
And like everybody's dealing with their own traumas, Feyre. Like you can go paint Reese naked if you want, but other people just want to be quiet in the corner.
Like, leave them alone. Elaine just wants to bake some bread. So Moore ends up being an adult and she's like, hey, Feyre, maybe like stay out of it. Like let people just like have their own growth. And Feyre's finally like, oh, you're right. You're so right. So then solstice night happens and they all end up like opening their gifts and they're having this nice time. And they hear a knock on the door and it's Nesta. Knock, knock. Nesta doesn't have any gifts.
But she knows where the money's at.
But she knows where the money's at and she knows where the wine's at. Like, Elaine immediately just beelines to the liquor cabinet with her and she's like, here, take this and sit down. So they all have like a nice night. They're like chit-chatting, whatever. Nesta's just like brooding and silent in the corner. Elaine is like panicky, like chit-chatting and like smiling and talking. Feyre is like, how do I make this better? How do I control this situation? And spoiler, neither of them can. Like Nesta's like, okay, bye. And so she gets up to leave and Feyre goes and she's like, you know, you don't have to leave. You can stay. And Nesta's like, no, I need to leave. And she's like, okay, here's your check as promised. And I was like, oh shit, Feyre. Okay. Rude. But Feyre also, or Nesta was also like a massive gray cloud over this entire party. So I kind of get it.
Can we chat for 1 second about the gifts that were given?
Sure.
Okay, I just need to literally again hate Feyre because she was like giving everybody paintings that she painted
Oh,
um
yeah.
of like their traumas from the war to try to like help them heal. Okay, so it's like individualized. And then she gives Reese his and it's her fucking Ouroboros painting. I was so mad.
He loves it though. He's like, wow, you're really letting me see you. Like, whoa, like
Yeah,
I'm really like seeing your inner Feyre. I love this.
because he's such a pushover for her. I'm like, you couldn't have given him something individualized. He gave you a satchel.
Yeah, his gifts were shitty too. I'm like,
I
I don't
know.
know that I could like really blame her. She's like, he did the bare minimum, so let me give him my own painting of myself.
But this is probably why Nesta was fleeing the scene.
Yeah, she's like, get me out of here. So then Cassian beelines for Nesta. He's like, she's not getting out of this without me being involved. So he tries to walk her home and like talk some sense into her and be like, yo, like, you don't need to be drunk every day, like going to bars, like having dudes in and out of your apartment. And she's literally like, please fuck off. And so he like keeps trying to push, and he has a gift for her too, which she doesn't know about. And he like says something at some point where he like definitely strikes a nerve for her. And she basically is like, ha, laughs in his face, literally makes him feel like he's like 2 inches tall and just walks away. She's like, leave me alone. And so Cassian, super drama moment, ends up turning to the river, throwing his gift into the water. And Hilary Duff was definitely playing in the background.
Come clean.
So meanwhile, Feyre and Rhys go to their like little winter cottage. As we know, this is like where in ACOFAS they had their first like night together where they admitted that they loved each other. They accepted the mating bond, the whole thing. And so they go into this cottage, and Rhys has like actually set it up in a very romantic way, like the first like actual romantic thing he's done for Solstice. And he like sets it up with candles, and it's really nice. And they basically just make it into like one big like sex fest where they're like, their whole goal was to like have sex against a wall, and they like end up doing that. But then they end up deciding to have a baby. Feyre like does it in the weirdest way possible. She's like, I know I gave you a painting of myself, but I have another gift. And she like projects a picture of their child into his mind. And he's like, are you sure? And she's like, oh, I'm sure. Happy solstice.
I literally cannot stand these two. Oh my
It was
god.
too much. It was too much. So the next day they come back to Belarus, and Rhys is like, I actually have one more gift for you. Like he's really like upping the ante on the gifts, and Feyre's like, I already gave you a baby projection. Like I can't go beyond that. And Rhys is like, look over here, and it's this massive mansion.
Yeah.
It's like a dilapidated mansion, basically. And he's like, this is ours. Like, decorated Feyre. Like, put a nursery in there. Like, put rooms and put an office in there for all of our fucking paperwork.
He does. He says put 2 offices in there. One for me and one for you. And I was like, why is there so much paperwork?
I don't know. But specifically the offices and the nursery were mentioned. So they now have this mansion that Feyre is now contemplating what she's going to do with.
She's also like, Rhys, this is too much. I can't take this. I can't believe you bought me a house. And I'm like, he's the richest man in Belarus. He can buy you literally anything.
I'm like, this guy is literally bankrolling this entire city. You are also making a salary like as his wife and his mate. Like, what do you mean?
Clock in. You're high lady.
Clock in. You are also signing checks in your office.
Yeah. Buy Polina's art studio. Jesus.
Jesus. Stop literally huddling in that art studio. I don't know what the squatters' rights are in Belarus, but she's got to own that place by then.
Yeah.
So after this, Rhys decides to go back to the spring court to pay Tamlin a visit because while Lucien was at the townhome, he made some comments that like really ended up settling with Rhys, and Rhys was like, oh, I guess I should grow the fuck up. And so Lucien basically made comments about the fact that like Rhys should not be kicking other men while they're down, which true. And the other one was like, Tamlin needs help. He needs support to secure the borders. And so he goes back to the spring court, and he's like, okay, I'm going to play nice. And he shows up And Tamlin is like in the dark in the kitchen with like a dead deer or something like that. Like
An
it's like a
elk.
full blown like dead elk. And he's like not doing anything with it. It's like bleeding on the table. And Reese is like, "Hey Tamlin, like how we doing?" And Tamlin's like, "Do you think that Feyre will ever forgive me? Like, do you think that she'll ever forgive me?" And Reese is like, "I don't really know that I can answer that question." And Tamlin's like, "Okay."
It's
And
actually
Reese is like,
so concerning that he's still thinking about Feyre.
I mean, this girl literally has her claws in like all of these centuries old men, and it's
Mhm.
shocking to me because, again, she's like gifting paintings, and that's it. So Tamlin is unwell. He's in the middle of a full blown mental breakdown, and Reese is like, "Just an FYI, I got some summer court guys to like come and help you protect the border. Like, don't worry." And Tamlin's like, "I don't really care." And Reese is like, "Okay, I'm gonna leave." But then before he leaves, he like decides to like magically like skin this elk and like help him cook it.
Cut it into steaks and then put it on the frying pan.
I'm like, does Tamlin not have magic anymore?
It was weird.
So it was weird. It was giving like two men who don't know how to like speak to each other about their feelings. So they're like, let me just help you
Oh,
skin this elk.
so funny.
So then we go back and we're actually switching to Moore's POV now. And it turns out she's keeping things secret yet again from all of her supposed best friends and family.
Truth
And
teller.
truth teller Moore is no longer telling the truth ever. And so she visits an estate that she's apparently had for centuries that literally no one else knows about but her, where she like goes to like ride horses and just spend time by herself. And so she's on this horse contemplating this mission that Reese is going to send her on. And she's like, "Ooh, I know that I want to go, but I feel like I can't go because that's letting my dad win." And it's like, no, it's not. More just
Yeah.
like literally fucking go.
Yeah.
She has this random moment too where she feels like a shadow is watching her, but then she just like completely dismisses it and goes home. She's like, "Later."
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, I would not be able to sleep in my estate alone after that.
No, she's like, "Gotta go home. Wine is waiting for me." So then Feyre finally decides to take the studio into her hands. She like goes to the family to try and buy it from there. And they're like, "No, you can just have it. Like, we know that you've been in there. Just take the fucking studio."
Please take it off our hands.
Yeah. And so she learns that there's an organization that supports struggling artists. And she's like, "Oh my God, I really want to get involved." And so her and Racina decide to essentially like stand up this studio and use Feyre and Reese's coppers to provide free art classes for kids or for other artists who might be suffering from some sort of trauma from the war to just like come and get it out for free, essentially. And so meanwhile, Reese and Cassian and Azriel are back at the Illyrian war camp, and they're like watching girls train while Reese like reflects on the growing tension between the different camps and like the different like settlements within Illyria. And so I thought that was interesting because I was like, that's clearly starting to like set the stage for some sort of conflict that will come
Yeah.
back. But we really don't get much. And then we
Classic.
go back to Feyre having her first class with Racina, and these kids sound very cute. They like paint these very sweet things. Some of them paint like some dark things. They're just like getting their emotions out.
Mhm.
And Reese shows up and he's like, "Hey, want to go for a walk?" She's like, "Yeah, take me to lunch." And so they walk and they're both like reflecting on the fact that they have each other, that they've lived this life, that they can be happy. And it's basically one big love fest where they're like, "I'm so grateful for you and I love you." And then that's literally it. That's where we end the book.
And that is it, folks. And you're wondering, is that truly all that happened in that book? And yes, it is.
Literally it. Okay, let's get into our character rankings because we really only have the inner circle at this point
Yeah.
because Feyre, by design, by Feyre's design. So we have Feyre, Reese, Moore, Amryn, Nesta, Elaine, Cassian, and Azriel.
This is so tough because really they all gave almost nothing to this
It
book.
was a very lukewarm performance across all fronts, honestly. I think maybe we could just honestly do our top three and have that be
Yeah.
it.
Honestly, my
Because
top three
the rest of them are terrible.
my top 3 does not include Feyre or Reese.
I believe that.
I
I totally
could
believe
not
that.
believe how freaking annoying both of them were this entire book. And like, I remember being so excited for the next storyline because I knew that Reese and Feyre weren't like the main points of view. And now I remember how I got to that mindset because they were so annoying in this novella.
Now I understand myself. I had a note about that. It was a big bummer for me. Like I think the first time that I read this, it was like, oh my gosh, like another book. But reading it back, it was such a letdown how their story ends because or their POV ends because it just felt like a Hallmark movie, like a
Mm.
cheesy like movie that was low budget that like what's going to happen and it just didn't feel like it was actually representative of their relationship or like the characters that they
Yeah.
were. And I just really didn't like it.
Like no shadow daddy characteristics this entire novella.
No, he was just like staring at Feyre's ass and like having like daydreams about having sex with her against a
Yeah. He
wall. And,
was like saying
that was it.
he needed to take a vacation to have sex with his wife.
Yeah,
Ew.
it was just a bummer. I'm sad that they didn't get a better send off because then you go into Silver Flames and there are these things, these big things that happen, but we don't get their POV through any of it. And so
Mhm.
the fact that like this was the end of it, I was just like, that was terrible.
Yeah, and so I think that leaves my top 3. I actually feel like I kind of have a top 4, and it's the couples of Nesta and
Mm.
Cassian and Elaine and Asriel.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. I just feel like it was their time to shine. Like,
Yeah.
this was like, we're over Feyre and Reese. Like, Amryn is high fae now. Mora is still a liar. So it's like Elaine and Cassian and Asriel and Nesta, it's like their time to like step forward and show us what they got.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that. And then I would probably put Amryn as the fifth.
Yeah, sure.
Because, like, I liked her commentary. I liked that she was, like, still shaking things up, even though she's, like, in this high fae form, you
I
know?
actually noted that. I was like, I'm glad she didn't lose her like sass when she transformed. And
No, it was great.
I'm like secretly obsessed with her and Varian. Like, I think
They're
they're
so
so
great.
cute.
I love their relationship. So, yeah, I would agree with that. And
Yeah.
I made a note about that, too, because I was like, I almost wish that this novella was just Feyre and Reese's POV the whole time.
The POVs were exhausting.
It's exhausting.
In my opinion, I think that all of the information you learn in this novella could have been sprinkled into the next book.
Yes, I completely agree. Or again, this just could have been like a true wrap up of Feyre and Reese's story and like had that be it.
Right. And so
You
since
know,
we like clearly hated all the characters in this book, or maybe it was just the book itself, should we get into our review?
I think so. Okay, recommendability. I don't know. I honestly think that you could probably skip this book and be
Yeah.
totally fine. Like,
100%.
I don't know that this is necessary to read. I think if you're one of those people that are literally obsessed with Feyre and Reese and like you just want your like last drops of them, like maybe read this.
I truly think you could just listen to this podcast episode and skip this book. I really do.
Second plug for the podcast.
Get a quick hit in, like get to know what you need to know and move on. Like, do not waste your $18 and
Yep.
your time reading this.
I would agree. I would agree. I totally agree.
I don't even think libraries carry this.
The libraries are against this too. The spice meter, I would literally give it like black pepper. Like there was like the one scene where Feyre was like, let's have a baby, and like that was it.
I do remember, like, I think he went down on her, like, one time. So, like, maybe,
That
like,
was in that same scene.
oh, yeah, so
But
it's
it was
just
like
one scene.
so brief. Like it wasn't even like descriptive. I don't know. I'm just like thinking about what we are about to enter into with Cassian
Yeah.
and Nesta. And I'm like, this is literal child's play. Hangover 0. I was ready for this to be done.
Hangover from having to read this and needing my time back.
That's right. For a book club, I would really say just don't read this book.
0. Like,
don't.
Even if you're reading the series as a book club, still skip this one.
Still skip it. Still just don't. Literally don't fast go.
You know
And
what
then
would be fun for a book club? If one person read it and then they did a PowerPoint presentation for the rest of the book club.
that is brilliant.
Yeah.
That someone should do that. Okay, what is your final rating?
I will give this a 2.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I
what
was
do you
thinking that
say?
I would maybe give it like a 2.5 or 3 because it like wasn't bad. Like it wasn't like not well written. You
Right.
get a lot of detail in it. It was easy to read. It's literally 200 pages. Like I
Yeah.
got through it in 2 seconds. So like it's fine.
I don't have a lot of experience with novellas. I've read one other novella, and it was like about like truly offshoot characters and just like a cute little holiday story about the world that we all fall in love with. And like
Yeah.
maybe that would have been a cute novella, SJM, like a little like side story about the summer court or something.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay, well, I think that wraps up our coverage of A Court of Frost and Starlight. We are done with Feyre, we're done with Reese, and we're getting into Nesta and Cassian and Silver
Woo!
Flames next. I am so excited.
I like actually cannot wait to get some fresh blood.
Oh yeah, if anyone here has been sticking along with us, you'll know that Cassian is Emily's top book boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very interested to see if that holds up. And this book was actually my favorite in the series, so I'm really excited to see if that's still the case on the reread.
Excited.
So we'll see you back here, same time, same place. Grab your blankets, grab your book boyfriends, and we'll see you then.
See ya.